Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that a post you made online had vanished. No warning, no explanation, just a message from the government stating they removed it to protect democracy. That scenario forces a difficult question. Can a democracy survive without free speech? Or can it survive with unlimited free speech? The strongest argument for censorship is the prevention of physical harm. Most societies agree that speech with direct, immediate consequences, like shouting false warnings in a crowded theater, or a political leader telling supporters to attack a specific group, requires intervention. History provides terrifying evidence of words acting as weapons. In the 1930s, state-controlled radio broadcasts systematically dehumanized minorities, long before any physical violence began, providing the psychological fuel for mass genocide. Democracies have the power to intervene before that violence happens. Yet granting a government the authority to draw the line between acceptable speech and dangerous incitement creates a vacuum ripe for political abuse. The internet broke the old monopoly on global communication. For most of history, information moved slowly through state or centralized media. Today, billions of people can publish information instantly and globally. Social media platforms aren't neutral public squares. Their algorithms shape what spreads. Because outrage generates engagement, systems consistently prioritize emotional, shocking content over verified facts. False claims reach millions in minutes. Before fact-checkers even respond, the initial lie has dominated the conversation. When viral misinformation destabilizes elections or costs lives, public perception of speech changes from a protected right to a source of danger. This growing anxiety has led many citizens to ask tech corporations and governments to censor the internet for their own safety. This demand for safety creates a trap. In trying to block disinformation, citizens are handing concentrated control over public discourse to unelected private corporations and centralized state authorities. This leads to the predictable historical pattern of the slippery slope, where temporary, narrow restrictions on speech expand into broad tools for repression. A society begins by passing a widely supported law. The legislation is specifically designed to ban explicit violent threats or highly destructive digital disinformation. But because the definition of harm is subjective, the law remains open to interpretation. Eventually, new political leaders take office and begin quietly broadening the boundaries of what qualifies as dangerous. A law originally intended to stop extremism targets opposition parties. Legislation meant to curb fake news becomes a convenient mechanism to silence investigative journalism. Every institution deciding what is true or acceptable is made up of biased, fallible human beings. Throughout history, authorities have consistently labeled activists and whistleblowers as dangerous for spreading ideas that were eventually proven correct. Even if one administration uses its moderation powers responsibly, the next one might not. Democracies have to design legal systems capable of surviving the worst possible authoritarians, rather than relying on the best ones. Broad censorship categories create a chilling effect. People begin self-censoring, avoiding controversial topics, not because they broke a specific law, but because they worry they might. This climate of uncertainty narrows public debate. Writers, academics, and ordinary citizens stay quiet. When people fear speaking honestly, the open disagreement that democratic culture relies on begins to wither. Removing bad ideas from the internet treats the symptom of a dysfunctional discourse, but it ignores the underlying vulnerability of the population itself. A more sustainable defense involves teaching citizens how to evaluate information. Prioritizing media literacy, scientific reasoning, and critical thinking equips people to handle both old-fashioned propaganda and emerging threats like AI-generated deepfakes. An educated population acts as a democracy's immune system. It makes society harder to manipulate and harder to deceive, without requiring a dangerous central authority to act as a filter. Democracy relies on loud, messy, and deeply uncomfortable disagreement. It was never meant to be a neat or perfectly controlled system. The exact moment a society decides it has found a flawless institution to dictate which ideas are allowed to exist, democracy is already failing. Societies must decide exactly how much uncertainty and chaos they are willing to accept in exchange for their freedom.